Hey YouTube, well, I've got one more to do. This is the last one I have kind of on my agenda for the Dynam Warbird collection. So I have the Corsair now, the Mustang, the Hellcat, and of course the Thunderbolt. And I'll do one more quick unboxing. This is I've already kind of opened some of the boxes up. It's typical Dynam. Everything comes in a box. And this one looks like the control surfaces, the rear surface, empennage. So, yep, typical Dynam, right? Same type of packaging as in everything else. I'll get everything out of the plastic here in just a minute. We'll just go through the unbox piece real quick. Wings, yep, look nice. No crinkles. That's what I look for right off the bat. I just kind of check the edges and make sure nothing's been pushed in or crinkled, because that's always disturbing on a new plane. No one likes to see that. The other wing half. This Dynam Hellcat has a really interesting scheme. They use a dark blue on top. This is the camouflage scheme. Dark blue on top and white on the bottom. I think at the field I have the Millennium Master is a lot like this. Got some darker colors on top, and actually it's lighter on top and very dark on the bottom, dark blue on the bottom. But I think this will show up pretty well. I can whenever the Millennium Master's out flying around, I can definitely make out the difference when the wings are flipped. So yeah, this wing looks like it's in pretty good shape too. No crunched edges. And then the accessory pack, just a little bit different this time on this plane. Looks like they use a lot of the same parts, and I'm starting to think that's part of their formula on how they keep costs down, is that so many of the pieces are very similar. But there's our pilot and our canopy. Glue. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention in past videos, Dynam's really good about I won't use that glue anymore on canopies after what happened with the Thunderbolt. I've got another canopy glue I'll use. But they do include the Y harnesses for both the landing gear and the ailerons, which is really cool. That's kind of a nice touch. Not a lot of plug and play airplanes do that. You're on your own for little details like that. Same deal with the props, no yellow tips. I've got some yellow paint on the way, so I'll be able to paint up my yellow tips. And then the hardware kit. Then last up will be the fuselage. Oh, there goes the box. That's alright. And there's the fuselage. Alright, I'm going to set this down and pull the plastic off so we can get a better look. Everything's out of the plastic now, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but this is pretty much what I've become accustomed to with Dynam. You see, they do such a nice job with everything else. I mean, this is a pretty decent paint job on this fuselage, but right here, you know, just little nicks and mars, you know, not perfectly smooth. Again, Warbird, I'm not that concerned about it. It's no big deal. But, you know, it's just what I've come to expect from Dynam. The cowl actually looks pretty good. It looks like it's in better shape than the P47 cowl was. And this actually has more complex paint scheme to it. So a little bit surprised at that, but yeah, the fuselage looks good. Same thing on the wings. You know, if you look at the wings right here, just some missed opportunity. That's just dust. Little missed opportunity, just not a completely thorough covering. I think decals will probably cover most of those little marks, but take a look at the rudder. Yeah, see? Look at that. That's just what, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. You wish if they would, you know, figure out how to fix that, I would say the quality of their kits would be much improved, but it's just little things like that they tend to miss that make you scratch your head a little bit. Let's see what the ailerons look like, because this is a spot on the Corsair where I saw problems. Yeah, a little bit at the top there. The bottom is supposed to be white because the bottom half of the wing is white, so I'm okay with that. And there's that end. Not bad on that side. We'll check out the elevator. I learned on the Corsair with the rudder to look for daylight in the seam. And it doesn't really matter to me. I use hinge tape on all these foam planes anyway. But if I see daylight, then I go a little extra and use some glue. But this one looks okay. I'm not seeing any daylight on that side. And I shouldn't expect to see any on this side either. Oh, that looks good. All right. Again, you know, if you look at this wingtip, you can see right there, just a missed opportunity. You know, they just, I don't know what it is with their manufacturing process, but that's the kind of stuff you expect on Dynam. Yeah, that edge looks pretty good. That edge looks pretty good, not bad. The wing itself looks really good. Yep, a little thin. See, that's Dynam. That's what you get. But again, Warbird, we're out flying these things. They were fighters. They weren't all that pretty after they got their first taste of action anyway. We'll see, I've seen yep, this looks a little floppy too. I've seen this before in videos that I've seen that just flops around a little bit. I saw a trick of one guy, he put a little magnet in there, right in here, and just kind of recessed it in the foam, and then just glued a piece of piano wire on the underside of the plastic just to kind of help latch this down. And he put it in far enough up against the pivot point so the retract would still have enough strength to separate the two. I might try that on this plane because that definitely is a little sloppy. I think that's on all the Dynam planes so far, everything I've got. That seems to be the biggest downfall is the gear. The gear is just not quite dialed in. I think they need to spend a little more time working on that. Yep, same thing. Look at that. It's pretty loose. That's definitely pretty loose, but no big deal. A little bit of work and we can get that cleaned up. But yeah, there you go. I'll do a dry fit just like I always do. Put it all together real quick, and you'll get a look at what the Hellcat looks like when it's assembled dry. Okay, there's a look inside the underneath the canopy, inside the fuselage. Lots of space in these planes. Just I'll put my hand in here just to give you some reference. But that's a pretty big spot. Really nice for putting these planes together. Wiring isn't tight or, you know, a pain in the neck to get to. But there's the fuselage cover on, or the canopy on. Yeah, cool looking plane, man. That's it's big. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Corsair, which I have right over there. And I haven't really talked much about that one. I'm still in progress of working on that, but there's a sneak peek at a modification I'm doing to the Dynam Mustang. I'm converting that from the livery that they had to the big beautiful Dow. So more to come on that when I finish that one up. But yeah, there's the Hellcat. That's a big bird. Looks cool. I'm looking forward to flying this. And I'm guessing based on this wing cord, it looks like it's probably, and the weight, this might fly a little closer to the Mustang than the Corsair, or even the Thunderbolt. But we'll see. We'll get it up in air and we'll try it out. But yeah, there's the the F6F Hellcat by Dynam. Cool plane. Okay, up next I've got the build review, but before I get to that, here are a couple of static pics of the finished plane and the Hellcat with a couple of my other Dynam Warbirds. Alright guys, I just finished putting the Dynam F6F Hellcat together. This is a really simple build. Maybe I might just be getting used to Dynam products and the way they do things, but this airplane goes together really easy. I'll just go over a couple things that I learned real quick on the build that I'll share with you that might help you out with yours. First things first, Dynam does include some glue for the canopy, and if you looked at my Thunderbolt video, you probably saw the little mark I showed where the paint, I think it's a CA glue, it kind of attacked the paint, and because of that I stopped using the glue that Dynam sends with their kits, and instead I use this stuff called Formula 560. They label it the world's best canopy glue. It dries clear, bonds plastic to foam really well. It's flexible, and it doesn't etch the canopy glass. And I gotta say, it's really easy to work with. A lot easier than CA. If you put CA on a smooth plastic like this, it'll run. And then it gets on your fingers, and then you risk touching the side. You know, it turns into a mess. So I found this stuff on the web some time ago. I really like it. It worked really well for this canopy. I recommend using it. Second thing is on these decals. This thing is huge. This airplane, by the way, is really big. It kind of made the Corsair, it makes the Corsair look kind of small by comparison. It also stands really high off the ground. I'm surprised at how high off the ground this thing stands. But anyway, because these decals are so big, what I've been doing is I've been applying from one side and just kind of rolling down. But what I learned to do after I did the first side was I pulled these two round edges in toward the center like a taco. And then I laid the center down, with one hand, and then I gradually laid these down, pushing as I went up just to keep the wrinkles out. I did get a wrinkle on the other side. Fortunately, I was able to peel it off, and I damaged the paint a little bit underneath the dark blue, but you'll never see it, so no harm, no foul there. But point is, these are big decals, so take your time putting those on. Make sure you keep the horizontal run here nice and taut, and just kind of roll it. That's what I did. I just kind of rolled it on and made sure that I pressed along the longitudinal axis of the plane as I went. Next thing is inside. Oh, you'll notice on the decals here that there's no way to fit the decal between the wing and the canopy without covering the seam of the canopy, which is right here. So you will need a super sharp razor, and all you do after you put the decal on is just take your razor. I'll see if I can get a razor and show you real quick. Just take your razor and slide it into the gap, and just go straight across and follow that gap. That's all you need to do, and you'll get a nice clean cut on that decal. After the decals go on, these are a little bit more tricky than some of the other models, but it's not a big deal. Just take your time, and this number 19 actually fits right between the wing seam and the cockpit. It's a close fit, but it fits. And then the other thing you want to be careful of that's a little different on this one than some of the other models is they give you the kill flags. There's one set for each side. When I first looked at it, I almost put them all on one side, but that's not the way it goes. You put one set on each side of the cockpit. This plane also comes with machine guns, a lot like the P-47, and I just use foam tack. And all I do is just take a little bit of foam tack and kind of smear it around the end a little bit, and then as I insert the machine gun into the tube, I give it a twist, and that was it. Let's see, inside, not a whole lot to see inside. It's typical of other Dynam planes, but really, I don't have the receiver in yet. I have a receiver on order that I'm going to use in this plane, but real clean inside, simple, pretty much the same layout as every other Dynam I've had. They do include the Dean's connector. I'll have to chop that off and put in an XT60, but that's it. As far as the wings go, this was one of my complaints on the Corsair. You couldn't see the hole from the top. In this one, the screw actually goes in from the top down, but if you take a bright light, like for your smartphone, for example, or a flashlight, you can shine it down in there, and just by moving the wing around, you can push the wing, fore and aft, and you'll get a look, and you'll be able to see in that hole how the bottom part lines up. So you just kind of maneuver the wing a little bit, stare down into that hole with the light on, and you'll see it when they're lined up. Once they're lined up, drop the screw in, and off you go. So a lot easier to put these wings in, I think, than on the Corsair. Corsair, I fought with it. It was just murderous. I had to fight with that a lot, but finally got it. These are a lot easier. Just use a bright light and look down into the hole. Make sure your hole is lined up. Other than that, it's a piece of cake. Let's see. As far as the rest of the build goes, I don't think there's much to it. The rudder back here, just like on the other Dynam models, the rudder gets the longer screws. The elevator control horn gets the shorter screws, because the elevator is quite a bit thinner than the thickest part of the rudder. So you just have to pay attention to that when you're putting your control horns on. Just make sure you use the longer. Both of the rudder screws are long, and both of the elevator screws are short. One other thing I did notice about this in the build was they finally opened this up. The Corsair, I had to drill some holes in the plastic, because if you look at the front of the Corsair, there's no ventilation for the ESC at all. So I took a drill and drilled out 3 holes in there and made my own ventilation. And on the Mustang, it's completely blocked off. And I know one of the tips on the forums is to take a razor and cut out this chin piece to make a hole for airflow. Thankfully on the Hellcat, they already included it. It's already molded in. So really happy about that. The landing gear, it's typical Dynam landing gear. It's a little wobbly. I'll see if I can lift the plane up, but you can see, haven't even taken this plane off yet, and I get that side-to-side action on the gear. Very typical of Dynam stuff. I'm not too worried about it. I think I'll be able to handle it. One other thing about Dynams that I've paid attention to is the rake of the gear. And if you remember the Thunderbolt video, I pulled the rake of I raked the gear forward so that the axle of the wheel was ahead of the leading edge of the wing. And on the Hellcat, it's right there. When I look straight down at the nut, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but when I look straight down, the nut, or the collar, is right there on the leading edge. So I'm going to go ahead and try and fly it without raking the gear, and we'll see what happens. If it turns out I have to rake the gear, I'll add a comment in the video updating. I'm not going to make a whole new video just for that, but I'll leave a comment with my recommendation after I fly it. So that's about it. This is the Dynam Hellcat. It looks like it's going to be a fun airplane to fly. I got to tell you, it's imposing compared to both of the other planes, compared to both the Corsair and the Mustang. This guy is big. It's a big plane. It stands tall from the ground. I really didn't expect that. I gotta admit, it took me a little bit by surprise. Look forward to flying it. I'll do a real short flight video. I think if you've been following the channel, you know I don't do real long maiden videos or anything like that, but I'll do a quick little flight video just to give you a look at it in the air. But that's it. Yep, the Dynam Hellcat. And I got this at General Hobby. Again, their pricing, hard to beat their pricing. So that's about it for the unbox and the build. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks.